Hello and welcome to the West Ham Faithful YouTube channel. I am Tom, and this is that way. This is Charlie. Charlie from Average Chat. You probably already know him. He's very recognisable, lovely geezer. And if you don't, where the hell have you been? And today we are going to be giving you a bit of a Chelsea preview, along with a bit of an interview with Charlie, because this is the first time I've done anything like this. How you doing, Charlie? You all right, mate?
Yeah, I'm alright. You say where have they been? I mean, hopefully doing something better with their lives than watching whatever nonsense I'm doing with cutouts of Danny DeVito's and eating baby emojis or whatever other stupidity things I'm doing at the time. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say I'm a thing, but thank you. I'm doing alright. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. Do not knock the Danny DeVito. It's iconic, mate. It's iconic.
He's a beautiful man.
I've got to get something like that. I've just got like my walls and ceiling in the background. It's fucking brilliant, bro. Well, do you know what? Yeah, genuinely, the first time I saw it, I was like, "What the fuck is going on here?" I had to go back a few episodes to find out. I was genuinely like intrigued by why is Danny DeVito in the background of a Hammers Chat video.
I can tell usually when I'm doing like the watch-alongs on Hammers Chat when someone's never watched before, because they're like, "Who? Why? What?" They just say it like you get like one of those questions in the live chat, and I'm like, it's just Danny, bro. He's here, isn't he? The worst thing is like he'll be here. There's two problems with him, right? The first is that sometimes when my girlfriend comes in the morning before I'm awake, if I've left him up, she gets like a bit of a fright because there's like a person in the room, and it's like she wasn't expecting it. And then the second one is I work from home on my other stuff as well. And so, like, I'll have, like, meetings, like, important meetings in this position, sat here with the camera and everything on, like, Zoom or whatever. And then I've had times where, like, an hour into a meeting with, like, I had a meeting with Eurosport once. And an hour into it, the person from Eurosport went, "Charlie, just a question. Why is there a cardboard cutout of Danny DeVito?" I was like, "Oh, I forgot to take him down." So, apart from that, though, he's fine. He just hangs out. He just,
Is he outside?
It's just, he's about.
I don't. Danny DeVito's small though, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's got 4 foot.
It is life size. Like if I stood next to it, he is life size. Do you know what I mean? Like he's a small guy. He's a small guy.
How tall are you, Charlie?
6 foot. So
yeah, okay.
He's
you're about the same height as me. So that's probably about Danny DeVito height, about the same height as my mum.
It's probably about accurate. Yeah, it's probably about accurate. I don't know if exactly right, but it's probably about accurate.
Have you ever thought about cutting your hair and dyeing your hair blonde, and pretending to be Home Alone?
Could do like an Arnold. I get really musty and do like
a. Was in Goodfellas, isn't it?
He's in that. He's in Twins. I could get like super muscly and do like an Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know what I mean? I could do that, but
extreme cock up by me. Why did I always get him mixed up with the short one from
Home Alone? What's his name?
Home Alone. What's his name?
I can't even remember his name.
He's Italian American as well. What am I supposed to do, man?
For some reason, the only words that come into my mind is John Cusack, and I know for a fact it's not John Cusack, so I can't remember for the life of me what that guy's name is.
Oh, but enough talk about
let's just talk about Home Alone. Let's talk about what film. You know what I mean? The bit where he does the trains and he falls over. It's well good. Bro, film.
Bro, I'm extremely proud that my eldest son Ashley is a bit of a prankster, and he does shit to me all the time, and I can't wait till he reaches an age where he realizes he can earn money out of humiliating me. Like, I'm avoiding buying him. He's 7, yeah, so I'm avoiding buying him a phone for that simple reason, because it's like he's going to discover TikTok and YouTube, and he's very good at it. He's a very smart kid. He humiliates me on a regular basis.
Listen, the game's the game. Money is money. You know what I mean? You make it, you spend it. It's good times.
I didn't have the balls to do that to my dad, though. Like, I'm pretty sure my brothers will watch this and see in the comments below. Like, if I did something like that to my dad, I'd get hurt.
No, that's illegal. It's different, but it's different. Like when I was a kid, like YouTube didn't exist in this way, so I couldn't make money off it. I'd just be posting it to my MySpace. What was it? When I was a kid, what would it be? Like a happy slap, just a happy slap my dad, and then a little bit on MySpace. Like it wouldn't. It would be a thing. I don't know if that would. It might bang. Like the kids in secondary might have loved it, but I don't know.
I don't think my kids would like. They do things that are like pranks and stuff. They would never have the balls to slap me. Yeah, and then they would get, yeah, they would get punished by the law obligating wage. Yeah, they
Yes,
will
of
get
course, of course, of
punished.
course, of
Yeah.
course, of course, of course.
I spoke about streaming the other day, and I got a sanction on TikTok. I got in trouble. I should have known, man. I'm new to this live thing, and like I do my watch-alongs on TikTok, and believe it or not, like I tried a live stream on YouTube, and I was on for about 15 minutes, and not one person joined.
Happens. It happens. It's a rough scene out there, man.
It was quite. So I was just like, no, this is so demeaning. I feel so bad. So I was like, I'm just gonna work on the channel, do pre-recorded bits, and when I get to 1,000 followers, that's when I'll do live. So if you're watching this video, you haven't subscribed, you want to see a live from me, subscribe, man. Help me out. But yeah, anyway, so we have Chelsea tomorrow, 4:30. How are you feeling about it, Charlie, mate?
Okay, better than I thought I would at this point. Like, if you'd asked me a couple of weeks ago how it would have been, bad times, bad times. But now, after the Bournemouth game, I know it didn't end well, but I saw enough from us to think, okay, maybe we're not completely and utterly screwed. And I feel like I don't know what Chelsea are going to turn up, so I'm feeling okay. I'm not saying I'm not feeling okay and like, oh, we're going to go batter them, but I'm like, we've got a chance of getting something out of this game at least.
Yeah, in my opinion, even last season, I was relatively confident playing them because, in my opinion, I watched the video earlier with the Chelsea fan, and I think the geezer's got far too much optimism. I feel like Chelsea are a jigsaw that is all maddled up at the moment. Pochettino is a very, very, very credible manager, but I don't think that hides the fact that they're signing more players than they're letting go. The only players that they're really letting go are players that are not in contention to play for them. Like that Lewis Hall geezer who's gone to Newcastle. Is it Lewis Hall? Whatever his name is. I didn't know who he was before that transfer. I do have zero interest in Chelsea. And I have a vague interest in anyone else in the Premier League in general. I don't even watch Match of the Day. I'm West Ham only, really. I'm more focused on other leagues. But as far as I'm concerned, as long as Chelsea is, I feel like they're trying to buy loads of players and put them in the team and think it's going to work. Like, as much as the signing of Lavia is getting talked up, he did get relegated with Southampton.
Yeah.
And as much as Caicedo's being talked up, who was that other geezer who joined from Brighton for Chelsea? That didn't work out, did it? Cucurella. That didn't work out. They wasted 50 million on him and then go back to Brighton and buy another one of their players after the manager who knew how to use Cucurella had left. Do you know what I mean? Like, what's going to happen with players like that? Like, it doesn't seem like anything. Because it's just they're
spending it does feel like you say. I think they've obviously got a really good manager. I like Poch a lot. I think he's one of the better managers around and one of the best managers they could have got. But it does feel a little bit like their transfer policy isn't in any way influenced by him. It just feels like it's what's around, who's good, and then how the hell do we spend too much money on them? It is kind of insane. Like, I look at it and I think you're buying good players, but like you say, I don't know where they all fit together. I mean, they've got about, how many attacking midfielders, wingers do they have at that club? They have so many. And I'm like, how do you put all these bits and pieces together to just actually figure out what they're doing? It's a weird situation.
Champions League football as well.
It's a hella weird situation there. I don't really get it. Like I say, they're good players, and some of them are players that I wouldn't expect. Like Noni Madueke, for example, who they bought in from, who was playing in Holland at the time. And like, he's a really exciting young player. Don't see where he starts for Chelsea. Don't see why they're spending that much money on him. But I like the idea of him being in the Premier League, and I think he deserves a shot. But it's just stuff like that where I'm like, who's pushing this? Like, who's the person actually in charge of this? Because it doesn't feel like it's Pochettino, and it doesn't feel like it's someone who knows what's going on, because it's such a random policy. But if he can put it together, then they've got a good team. It's just, can he put it together? And I'm not convinced he can.
It's got to be Bowley.
Right? It
Since
has.
you
It
play
has to be.
FIFA, mate.
It does. It does. It really does feel like that. It really
Yeah,
does. I mean,
yeah,
they bought like they had like Enzo Fernandez, and then they're like, oh, we're gonna get Caicedo. Okay. Oh, we're gonna get Lavia as well. I mean, okay, but like, where are we going with this? Where are we going with this? Oh,
yeah.
we're gonna get Madueke. Okay. Well, you're gonna get Mudryk. Okay, we're gonna get Okay. Okay. Like, it's just this like constant, just like collecting
There's,
of random
there's,
people.
there's,
If anyone could put it together, it would be Poch. If Poch can find
yeah,
like a system and 11 players that he likes and that suits him, it will have a very good team. But you do feel like it's going to take some time to get there because right now they've just got a million players, and I don't know. I don't even. But their squad registration must be an absolute nightmare. Just thinking about it, it's only 25 spaces.
can you imagine? Can you imagine? Like, the way I see it is like it brings me back to, the England era when they had too many superstars
Yeah, yeah.
in the same
Big
position. Like Scholes, Gerrard, and Frank Lampard were all brilliant players, but couldn't play in the same midfield because it just didn't work because they were all just superstars.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's why in my personal opinion, that's why I think it didn't work for Barcelona when they had Messi, Neymar, and Suarez. That's why I think it didn't work for PSG when they had Neymar and Messi and who was the other one?
Mbappe.
Mbappe. Do you know what I mean? I think there's just
Yeah.
you've got to have the balance.
Yeah.
Like Chelsea don't have no balance when they're turning up to training, and half the players don't have like a bench to sit on. They're having to sit on the floor. Get rid of some players, dude. And not only that, they're ruining talent.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing that I always think about it. Like when I'm playing like FIFA or Football Manager or whatever for a long, and I get like further into it past the first season, and I'm always like, oh, I'm gonna buy all of these wonder kids, but then
Yeah,
you realize at some point you can only play one of them at a time. Like you can
yeah,
only
yeah,
have
yeah.
one right winger, you can only have one left winger. Like someone is going to be missing out on this. So when you look at the situation of Chelsea and you think about like, oh, look at their options they've got. It's like, yeah, but one of them is going to be missing out, and one of them is going to be sort of ruined by that. And that's not look
Yeah.
from their position, beautiful, right? Whoever fight, they two right wingers who are both like world class young players. They'll fight it out. One of them will win, and Chelsea will be like, "That's the guy," and then we move forward with him. And then they can probably sell the other one for a fairly decent amount still, and move on with their lives, right? But that guy is going
Yeah,
to have several years where he's going to be floundering and not really knowing what he's doing, and
yeah,
it surprises me how willing players are to go to Chelsea. However, having said that, I mean, it's money and it's a career at the end of the day, so they're probably getting paid an insane amount. And realistically, if Todd Bowley comes up to you and goes, "I want to pay you 200 grand for 8 years," you're like,
yeah.
"All right, well, we could probably make that work despite
All
everything." But
right.
it feels a little bit anti. I don't know.
One question for you then. So why didn't Declan Rice accept that 200 grand a week, 8-year contract then?
I don't think it was ever there for him, to be honest. I
Do you
think it
think?
more fooled them, but it just never felt like it was that close.
Because that
I
was the
was,
rumour, wasn't it? That they had offered him 200k a week for eight
yeah,
years. But in my opinion on that was that you've got to allow him the opportunity to get his move. Putting him on an 8-year contract is going to like basically sell him out of ever getting that move. Do
yeah,
you know what I mean? So it's like obviously another club, a Champions League club. If West Ham don't get into that position, another Champions League club will have to pay. So like he went for 105 million. So imagine if he was on an 8-year contract. That was with him with 1 year left. You know what I mean? With an 8-year contract, Sullivan's rubbing his hands and will mama language, but he's getting a boner about it. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's what it is. I think it was bad timing for Chelsea, and they never seemed mega on it. It
Yeah,
seemed to be mostly City and Arsenal, and obviously Arsenal the last 6 months, and then before that Manchester United seemed super into the idea. They ended up getting Casemiro. That's worked out for them, so it is what it is. But
yeah.
it just
I
never
don't
felt
really
like
rate
Chelsea was super there for
Casemiro.
him. No.
Nah, nah. I think he's a he's a I don't know. He's like Declan. He's like Lucas Paqueta without the skill. Do you know what I mean?
See, I really like him, but I think he's comfortably past his best. But I do
Yeah,
really like him. I still think he's one of the better players in his position in the Premier League. But him now compared to him 5 years ago is like
that's
night
like
and day.
Thiago as well.
Yeah.
Thiago's the same, like still solid, still such a top player, but they're not who they were. Do you know what I mean? I just don't think this Casemiro's not good enough to be in the Man United of like the idea like we would have grown up with. Charlie, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
29.
29. I'm the same. I literally just turned 29 the other day. So
Happy birthday.
Thanks, man. So we literally grew up in the same era where Man United and Arsenal were the dominant teams. Do you know what I mean? So it's like to see that's not a Man United player. That's not. No,
he feels like a stopgap. It's just it's their game now is finding the person who can replace him. And obviously Declan Rice is off the table. Lavia is now off the table. So now they're going to be looking around and seeing who's the next guy. They were trying to get Amrabat. That seems to have stalled massively, and that doesn't seem to be happening anymore. So, like, for them, it's about finding the guy who's going to replace him. Like, Casemiro, it's one of those ones where it's a lot of money. They spend it. He spends 2 seasons at the club, does quite well, does well enough, sort of is what he is, and then you move him on and get the next guy. The problem is, in my opinion anyway, the person that Casemiro replaced was Matic, who was the exact same thing. Here's an older guy who's good, but, like, is a short-term solution, and they need to at some point find this long-term solution because otherwise they're just going to be spending 50, 60, 70, 80 million on 30-plus year olds who can come in for 2 seasons or whatever. And that's not... Surprisingly, being a West Ham fan, it's weird buying old players and it not quite being a smart decision all the time. But there we go. That's where we're at. So, yeah, I think he's good, but he will just do for now. I just think with Chelsea, it's one of those ones where, like, at least all the ones they've got, like, they're giving 8-year contracts, but it's like... they're all the right age to be getting that, you know?
Yeah. But in my opinion, I just think Chelsea are ruining top quality players by offering them this. Do you know what I mean? It does scream 12-year-old playing FIFA. Like, I looked at my kids' FIFA team the other day and I was just like, wow. Like, how? Like, I'm surprised that you managed to do all these transfers by yourself. But like, he's like, I'm struggling to get them. Like, there's no chemistry. Like, he when he's playing, he's like, he's having to force it and he's having to like try his best to score and stuff like that. I'm like, that's because your team has zero chemistry. You've got a load of superstars in one team, and it's just not going to work. It just don't work, and that fills me personally with confidence with the game on Saturday. Like, I'm not overly confident, but it's like on my channel, I tend to give 2 score predictions, one for my head and one for my heart. And last week, the one for my head won. Like, but the one for my heart was West Ham winning 3-1. And for my head was West Ham drawing 1-1. And if subscribers don't believe me, look, go back on my last video and check yourself. But you get torn between the decision between the two, but like, even my head's trying to say logically, even though Chelsea done well against Liverpool are a very, very strange team at the moment.
Yeah.
And
again, another team who just decided that defensive midfielders weren't something they were interested in, apparently. Playing Cody Gakpo at centre mid, like here's a striker come winger. What are we going to do? I'll just lob him at number 8 and we'll see what happens. They're a very weird side at the moment. No wonder they wanted Lavia and failed, but yeah.
But it was like Jurgen Klopp used to put fucking Milner at right back and stuff like that, though, innit? So I think both, like, I know it's a bit off topic, but I think both Liverpool and Manchester United have very, very, very big problems with how the club's being run at the moment. And I can kind of understand the noise coming at the Man United fans. I just don't understand why they're so big-headed, even though they know everything's not great. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, you've got Champions League football. Yeah, okay, you've done all right under Ten Hag, but you didn't pull up no trees. And VAR did help you with a lot of them things. Like, that's with ignoring this season. Do you know what I mean? It was like when we played them and Benrahma scored that goal, he was just waiting for some stupid penalty decision or like them to score an offside goal and for it to be allowed. You was waiting for it. Do you know what I mean? I was anyway, and I was relatively surprised and relatively happy we actually managed to get the points we deserve, because how many times, especially in recent seasons, we've been robbed by especially Manchester United for stupid weird decisions.
Yeah.
But yeah, so how do you think? What's your opinion on their transfer business for who they've brought in so far?
Good players, a lot of money, way too much money.
Yeah.
I think they're good. Like by and large, everyone they're buying is good. I mean, I don't understand why they're buying some of them. Sanchez feels like a weird one for a lot of money, for example, in goal. Good player,
Yeah.
but like seems like a lot. Although to be fair, Arsenal buying what's his face Raya from Brentford, sort of a similar vibe in that sense. But
Was
like
that a loan to buy?
yeah, loan to buy, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Assuming it goes out, I would assume they would pay the money for it, and they'll have a
Yeah.
battle between him and Ramsey and see who comes out first, I guess. But having two solid goalkeepers isn't a bad thing, but it does seem like a bit of a waste for Chelsea, who already had like a couple. But I don't know. I think that the business that they're doing is interesting, and they're good players. It's just again finding a way to put them all together, and they've got a good manager who can do that. But I also don't trust their owners to give him the time to figure it out. If let's say it doesn't go well, first month, 2 months, 3 months of the season, and he's still trying to figure out how to put all of these players on the pitch at the same time, are they going to stick by him? I don't think they probably would. I think they'd probably get rid of him and try to get someone else. And in that sense, I don't know, but like you said, I don't like the effect it's having on the players, and I also don't like the effect it's having on the market in general. I think this summer specifically, with them and with the Saudi stuff going on, it's just been such an insane. Every transfer's 4 times higher than it should be. Like some of the quotes for players that we're getting quoted, like some of the numbers we're getting quoted for players is just insane. And I think that is directly partly down to people like Chelsea who are like, we're just going to spend 100 mil here, 100 mil there, this much here, this much there. It's just inflating the market in an insane way, which is completely unsustainable in my opinion.
And look, on that point that you just said about the Saudi market, West Ham has to be the only team that has a player that has interest in Saudi that no one wants to pay no money for.
Our player was interested in going to Saudi. There was a Saudi club interested in signing him, and somehow he started against Bournemouth up front. I don't understand how it's happened, but there you go. It is what it is.
Wasn't there like 11 million pound bid for him? And when I heard that, like, I don't know, it didn't come from any credible sources. Yeah. I think it was just like Twitter hearsay. Because X didn't report it, Fabrizio didn't report it, none of the like Sky, Cavar, however you pronounce his name, or like anyone like that, David Ornstein had touched on anything to do with that. But it was like, there were rumours going around, there's a bid been put in for Antonio for 11 million. I was like, well, fucking take it then. We've got the money to like put an extra 20 million to that and get a half decent striker. And on that note, what do you think about West Ham signing so far? There's only 2 of them, but what do you think of them?
I'm happy with both of them. I think we're fine. It's taken us a long time, but I think by and large we've got it right. I think James we'll start with Alvarez. I like Alvarez a lot. Every time I've seen him play, I've been really impressed by him. And when I was talking to people after the season, and obviously it was very clear that Declan Rice was going, and we're talking about replacing him, I was always really adamant that one of the 2 midfielders that we were going to buy, because it was always quite obvious that we were going to get 2 for Declan Rice. That always seemed like it was going to be the case. I wanted one who was defensively was just really, really good. Like that was my big key here. I was like, we need someone, because with Declan Rice, he's got that defensive side and he's going to do the other stuff as well. But us losing that defensive side is such a massive hole. And we saw that in pre-season, the last 2 pre-season games specifically. They just walked through the middle of our midfield, straight into our defense. And that's not something teams usually do. Usually we manage to force them out wide. They're going to just start crossing it in. Kurt Zouma is going to get his big head on it. It's going to be a beautiful thing, right? But we couldn't do that because obviously the defensive midfield section was just gone in that sense. And so I was always like, we need someone who's going to, first and foremost, be really, really good defensively. And I think with Edson Alvarez, whenever I've watched him play, that's the side of his game that's really impressed me most. Don't get me wrong, I've not seen him tons and tons. I've seen him a handful of times, but I've always been like, here's a guy who, a little bit rash. I'm fine with that. Don't get me wrong. I don't mind seeing a random 2-foot challenge every now and then. I don't want to see people hurt, but at the same time, I do think it's quite funny. But like, I want to see just like random hard challenges. I want to see a guy who's going to protect that back 4, who's going to stop people from getting through, and that's kind of what we've got with him. I'm really excited for him. I think we got a good price, especially compared to again, talking about those prices, like Paulinho, I really like him as a player, but 80 million, and all these other
Yeah,
people,
it was
Scott McTominay,
ridiculous.
45, like just not working out, right? And then you've got James Ward-Prowse, who I really like. I think will work really well for David Moyes. I don't know where he fits in the team. That's the
Yeah,
big confusing part right now. Is we've got Edson Alvarez, we've got Thomas Souček, we've got Paquetá, we've got Fornals. Where does James Ward-Prowse fit into that jigsaw? Is he going to come in next to Alvarez and Paquetá's going to go forward? Is he going to play in the more advanced role? Paquetá's going to sit back. Once he goes because of either Manchester City or bets, then which way round is all these things going to be in? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's quite difficult. But when I think about what James Ward-Prowse brings, I like him. I think he works hard. His leadership skills are really good. Like I like seeing his interviews, when he joined the club and stuff. He really likable and like clear that he's a professional guy who's going to come in and do what he wants and stuff. And like there's just free kicks and set pieces for us specifically. That's such a huge positive. I remember like we would sit and when Payet would get a free kick like in the ground watching from home, it doesn't matter where you were, everyone would just go, okay, right, hang on, we've got something here. And it's that same thing of here's a guy who every time we've got a free kick 25 yards in and around the box, everyone's going to brace themselves. And that's something we haven't had for such... Like, Ben Rama's a decent free kick taker, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
But, like, James Ward-Prowse is elite. And then you've got him on corners as well. Just him pinging in corners to our gigantic men, like flipping Thomas Souček and Angelo Ogbonna and Kurt Zuma and Gerd and all these people just pile driving towards the box. It's a beautiful
Alvarez
sight.
can score a header as well.
Alvarez, yeah.
He scored
He's big as well.
he scored the most headers out of anyone else in the Ajax team last season.
And now we've got James Ward-Prowse swazzing in balls onto his head.
Like,
It's a beautiful
did you see
thing.
all the memes going around about Harry Maguire, like James Ward-Prowse banging it in and Harry Maguire like headbutting through a fucking door.
I can't act like I didn't low-key want it. The way I kept saying it to people, the comparison I kept saying was like, you know in Space Jam, where they have the team where it's just the giant monster aliens, and then they have one little guy who's like a dribbly guy. I was like, this is what I want. I want a bunch of like unnecessarily tall. Let's buy the tallest player in every position, right? Get Dan Burn at left back. He's like 6'7". Get all these gigantic men, and then just James Ward-Prowse standing in the middle, and then let's just whip those balls in onto their heads. I want to
still on old school Space Jam as well, isn't it?
That's all I want in my life. We're not going to get that exactly, and probably for the best. But like ideally, I was like, that seems like a vibey team.
It would be
So I think we've got
Burnley 2.0, wouldn't it?
a little bit, but I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? Let's have a bit of grit. You know, let's have a fight in the middle of the pitch.
Do you know what? That's what something Burnley did have. They were bastards, weren't they? And I were jealous of them for it because they were arseholes to play. They were annoying to play, but like whenever they played us, they managed to get a result.
Yeah, we don't really do that, which is quite weird. We sit deep, like we have that like grit in like we will compact and we will stay in our shape, and you're gonna have a tough time breaking us down. But we've never really, under David Moyes at least, we've never really had that. We've never really had that violent streak. Do you know what I mean? Like
the bastards, yeah.
we don't. Yeah, exactly. We don't get cards really that often. We don't. There's
Unless
just not
it's
really. Well, notably maybe, but yeah, I think it's a thing. But yeah, I think we're doing all right. I think the transfers we're making are good. It's just a case of we need more of them, and obviously they should have been done earlier. But as long as we get it right, I'm okay with it. But we'll see. We'll have to reserve judgment because we still need a couple more. We still need a couple more before the window ends.
We've got tendency to make our signings late, but I mean, when people were screaming about it, you know, when we all, like, I'm pretty sure you were the same. I was making content literally screwing. I had, if you look back in my videos, like literally my second or third last video was called the West Ham Shit Show. Like, and that's just me just going on and up, going proper Nick from Claret and Booze, like fucking it was really frustrating me that Moyes was still here, nothing was being done, and then we had just got battered by an average team from Germany. Do you know what I mean? Like, it didn't really sit well. And then obviously Alvarez came in, and like I knew about Alvarez. Like I said, I'm not really keen on anybody else from the Premier League, but I do have quite a good knowledge of teams from other leagues, and Ajax is a team that I do keep an eye on because they're good for a bet.
They're Ajax. They're good football. They produce good players. It's always a good thing to watch Ajax. Yeah.
They're always free on Sky Bet, mate. Like, you place a bet, you watch it. There you go. Do you know what I mean? So I did keep an eye on him, and like he seemed like he's very, like you said, gritty. He gets in the opposition's face. It's something very much West Ham that will suit us as fans. We love a prick, don't we?
Yeah.
Like, we love a bit of a bastard who will get up in them, and like he'll make his presence known. Do you know what I mean? Like, we had it with Arnautovic. He used to wind up players. Do you know what I mean? And Alvarez does the same thing. He did it for Ajax, and I'm just hoping he brings that with him to us. From my opinion, as far as James Ward-Prowse is concerned, like you said, Dimitri Payet, man. Like, we all were on the edge of our seats. I think I saw one of his last free-kick goals at the London Stadium. With my little brother. He was in I think it was an FA Cup game or a League Cup game. But yeah, we were like, it was 0-0, 94th minute, last minute fucking free kick scored. It was absolutely amazing. One of the best goals I've ever seen live. But he left after. But yeah, James Ward-Prowse, like, he's gonna have that he's gonna want to break David Beckham's record for once. For one, and he's gonna have that hunger to do it as well, especially talking about it in the interviews and stuff like that. But yeah, you can't go wrong with James Ward-Prowse. But like you said, where does he go in that team? Where does he go? Because we play a midfield three at the moment, right? Yeah. Midfield three at the moment.
And you imagine Alvarez is going to come straight into that. So that's one place taken. If Paqueta is available,
in his space.
Exactly, it's difficult to see. And then, so if Paqueta's available, he's playing. So then The only one left there is Thomas Souček or whoever else is playing there. And at that point, you've got Souček, arguably Fornals, James Ward-Prowse fighting for that position.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's murmurs that he isn't a Moyes signing. He's a David Sullivan signing. So don't be too surprised if you find him out on the left wing.
Well, maybe. There we go. He takes up the Flynn Down role. He'll just be all over the shop. Be right wing one day, left wing next. It'd be great. It'd be fine.
The funny thing is, James Ward-Prowse said in that podcast interview, "I'm not here to play on the wing."
yeah, I know. Made it very clear early doors.
I'm not playing on the wing.
He's put the shirt on for 2 minutes for a podcast, and he instantly gone, "Yeah, the wing though, no, not me, not having that bit. No, that's not for me."
Oh, mate. But yeah, so out of the players that we've got that we're linked to at the moment, because I think Wahi's got dismissed, he's going to join Rennes, isn't he?
Something like that, yeah.
Like that. So we're currently linked with Mavropanos, which is supposed to be landing in the country at some point tonight. I did get an update from X after we came live, and we've got Kudos, and Tim Steiden is rumoured to be out in Ajax trying to negotiate the deal after we've already had one bid rejected, haven't we, of around 25 million.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly. I think it was like, from what I saw, it was like 5 million off what they're asking for or something, and it's all a case of like figuring out the finer details, all that. I mean, listen, it's a nice job if you can get it, Tim. Just like, what are you going to do? I'm off to Amsterdam for a week to we're going to bet this footballer, so I'm just going to pop over there, and I'll be back in a week, I promise. It's an easy job you can get. But yeah,
he's having a good time, isn't he?
I suspect he's having I suspect it's not very stressful, let's put it that way. I suspect he's quite calm.
Shaggy do, isn't he?
I think
walking down the red light district. Raggy.
Listen, someone's got to do it. Someone's got to do it, you know. If you have to go to Ajax. I like both. I like both of them, to be fair. I think they're both good sides. I think we need another centre back. And I think the good thing with Mavropanos, or I'll have to learn how to pronounce his name, to be fair. I think I don't know. Is he doesn't, unlike Harry Maguire, who would have commanded a first choice, like starting centre back every single game, from stature, age, captaincy vibes, wages, transfer fee, all that stuff would have meant that he would come in and it would be expected that he starts every single game.
Yeah.
I don't think we're getting that with Mavropanos. What we're getting is someone who,
Yeah.
one, is significantly younger, so he can learn, he can grow, he can do stuff, and two, the price and stuff means he's probably going to be okay to come in as a rotational centre back. And I
Yeah.
think for me that was important because I look at Zuma and I look at Aged. I like them both. I think that's a good centre back partnership for this season at least,
Yeah.
and that's sort of what I want us to focus on. And then he can be the sort of guy who plays in Europe and does other things. And when one of them or both of them inevitably get injured, he can step into that role.
I was waiting for you to say that, man. I was waiting.
Yeah, because they will. It will happen. Like it will.
Yeah, it will.
One of them will definitely get injured for a significant period of time at least.
Yeah.
And so at that point,
And
having somebody
then he'll get his first team time. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah. Then he'll get his first team time, and we'll still hopefully be in Europe by that point. So we'll still have time for Kehrer and anyone else who and like maybe youth players. I don't know. We'll see what happens, right? And then with Kudos, I'm really excited for him. Really excited for him. I like him a hell of a lot. If Paquetá ended up leaving, if Paqueta ended up leaving, then I would be really excited to see him in his role because I love his dribbling. And I think that's the one thing we've missed for a while, really since Jesse Lingard left, and may come back, but that's a different story for a different time. But I think that's the thing Jesse Lingard brought is he would pick up the ball.
Talk about that in a minute.
He would pick up, good times. He picks up the ball like basically in our area, would nutmeg a guy and then run the entire length of the pitch and then do something at the other end. And that's something we just don't have. Like I love like. Paqueta, however you want to pronounce it. I say it one way, and now the comment section are telling me I'm wrong. But then I said it the other way originally, and the comment section were telling me I'm wrong. So
Paquetá.
That's the.
Paquetá.
See, but I'm sure Paquetá is the correct way. But at the same time, I say that, and people tell me I'm wrong. And then, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say both, and then everyone can hate me, right? So Paquetá / Paqueta, right? I love him. He's one of my favourite players we have, and I loved him before he came to West Ham. I love what he brings. I love how good he is in the ball. I love how hard he works. He's so hard working for a Brazilian fun playmaker, fancy type player. My man works his socks off. He's running non-stop. He's doing all these things, but he doesn't have that pick up the ball and dribble quite fast 50 yards thing that Lingard had. And I think Kudos has that. And so the idea of when we were losing Paqueta / Paquetá, when we were losing him, I loved the idea of like Kudos coming in that position. And then you have your defensive midfielders, they can get the ball to him and he can just go and really be super useful on the counter-attack. Since now he seems to be staying, I still think he's such a good signing because he can play up front, he can play on the wings. There's so many different options he brings you, and he is something completely different that we don't have. And also, frankly, he's a little wonder kid. So he's one of these people we could get, even if it costs us 45 million, which is probably the peak of how much it would cost us, right? Let's say we just went in and just gave them the 45 million they wanted. We could probably sell him in a season or two for more than that. So it's a really exciting transfer for me and something I'm really excited for. I really hope that one comes out because he's the one who's... I like Mavropanos. I think he's a good signing. I'm excited to see him play. But Kudos is the one that's going to be, when I'm sat here on the watch along, he's the one that's going to get me excited when he comes onto the pitch or when he's playing and stuff. He's the one who's going to get us all out of our seats.
There was rumours that I think it was someone from The Athletic reported that that it has been revealed that he isn't being signed to play in midfield. He's being signed to play up front. So that's what I literally only found out that information about a couple hours ago. I saw it on Twitter, and someone got credited that was notable, but I can't remember who it was.
I think I might have seen the same tweet as you, but I can't remember for the life of me who it was. But I remember seeing something.
It might have been Ornstein. It might have been or Ornstein, however you pronounce it. I'm not good with Jewish language.
Let's just get every name wrong. How about that? Let's just get every name wrong.
Who cares? But yeah. So, on that note, how do you feel about the whole Jesse Lingard situation? Because I at this moment in time, it's still like smoke and mirrors whether he's going to come back or not. But how do you feel about it after he gave us the runaround last summer, shall I say?
It depends, right? Controversially, I'm probably okay with him coming and signing a short-term contract, but it would have to be the right deal for us. I don't think he's worth anywhere near what he would have been asking for last summer anyway at this point. So I think now if we can get him on a cheap deal, he basically comes in as kind of the Lanzini replacement. Comes in, plays not that many games. He just slots in where he's necessary. We know he suits and fits in David Moyes' system. It's kind of like it's like what we were saying earlier with Casemiro, right? Here's an older player who can come in, can do a job when you need him to, and then leave in a season or two. Except instead of spending 70 million and paying however many hundreds of grand a week Casemiro gets, it'll be a free transfer and it'll be a relatively low wage. For that, I'm okay with it. I'm fine with that. It makes sense. If Moyes wants someone who suits his system, that kind of signing kind of makes sense for him. Moyes is on a short-term deal at this point. He'll be on a short-term deal. It sort of all comes together in a way that makes sense and gives him a squad player that works in his system. Am I buzzing about it? Not really. I'm not sitting here getting hyped, but I'll accept it for what it is, and then our job is then to look for the person who's going to replace him more long-term next season or the season after that or whatever it'll be.
See, the problem I have with that is that if Jesse Lingard does sign on a short-term deal, Moyes will do whatever he can to get him in that team in the Premier League. I like how me and you both want him to be on a low basic wage with performance bonuses and da-da-da-da-da. That's been my opinion the whole way through since I heard out. Like, do you know what? I think he's a bit of a bell, but like my opinion of it is if he cares about money so much and you're giving him a low basic wage with performance bonuses, it's going to force him to play well. He's going to go into every game saying, I need to score a goal to make sure I make that 100k this week. Do you know what I mean? So with that, I wouldn't have no problem with. But the issue I have is Moyes loves him. Moyes does love him. He chased him like it was his high school girlfriend last summer. He got rejected, and the mug's probably the only idiot who picked up the phone when Jesse Lingard called asking for somewhere to train. So that's why I think he's back at West Ham. I don't think he really cares about. He don't care. Look at his interview with the Diary of the CEO. He was like, West Ham didn't show us enough love. No, West Ham didn't offer you enough money. Have it right. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's such a difficult one. I've never really felt that angry towards him. Like I think he wanted to come back when he was at Manchester United. I think that was clear. I think he tried to make it happen. I think he said this in the Diary of the CEO thing. I think Manchester United just said no.
He said that he wanted to come back.
And Gio spoke about this on the video. We posted a video about it yesterday, maybe the day before. I don't know. I don't remember when it was, but we posted a video about it, and Gio spoke about how Manchester United saw us basically as rivals at that point for the position that they were fighting for. And so they were like, we can't let you go on loan or go on there permanently and then you score a goal that fires them ahead of us. That we just can't let that happen, sort of thing. Which I get. Like, it's not ideal and it's ruined him as well as ruining our chances, but fine, whatever. I get it. It's business. It is what it is. It's football, right? It happens. And then when it came to last summer and there was the whole Nottingham Forest thing, I've never felt that strongly about it because I just look at it and I think, he went to a club where he was more likely to play and was going to get paid more money. And I think from any player's perspective, you would probably choose the same thing. I don't begrudge him that too much. It's always difficult, and I don't think him being on that podcast has helped. And I'll tell you what, Stephen Bartlett at Diary of the CEO has a wonderful time timing these things. He did, what was the last one? Was it Karen Brady or whatever it was? And he was like, I'm going to drop that right now, and I can't remember what drama was going on at that specific moment, but he dropped it right in that moment of time, and I'm like, my man knows how to time these things to cause maximum problems because he's done it yet again. But
what was it? It was God's sake, man!
I can't remember.
Big as well, and we were grilling it. We was grilling the club about it, and it weren't when we were doing well either. I remember. No.
I can't remember what it was.
Bad times with Mark Noble picking up fans and chucking them off the pitch times, isn't it?
I can't remember what it was. But it was. I just remember thinking he's timed that well, hasn't he? He's timed that put to maximum explosion. And it's the same thing. Oh no, it was the David Moyes one. That's the one it was. It was the David Moyes one. And then there was the whole drama over transfers. And then we weren't signing everyone.
With Alvarez from Man City, and
that's exactly that. He just times these things very well. I think with Lingard, it is what it is. I've never had that much animosity towards him. I think it sucks, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
Like I say, I think if he comes in and does this thing, I think you're right. I think what you said is actually correct. If he's on a lower wage type thing where it's heavily incentive based, then it will be a situation where when he does play, he's going to want to do all these things to get that
yeah.
money, because otherwise he's not going to. Like, don't
He
get me
won't do
wrong,
well.
he's gonna be on enough money to live. He's a Premier League footballer, but it's
Oh
gonna be
yeah.
significantly. It could double whatever he's earning or whatever. So we'll see. I'm not convinced he's gonna get a short term contract yet. We'll see what happens, but I hope, for the sake of hope, that when it does happen, or if it does happen, it will be in our favour rather than his.
I think that's all the noise that's coming out at the moment is about if he does sign, it will be a deal offered in our favour rather than his. And it all depends on him, innit? If he, because otherwise, I can't see him getting any offers. He obviously hasn't had no offers. So otherwise, he would have gone elsewhere. He wouldn't be training with us right now. So at this moment in time, I see him as a desperate lost puppy. So, like, in that, use it to our favour. But me personally, if he puts on that West Ham shirt, I'm gonna know not to love that geezer, mate, because I loved it. I loved him during his first season. I did. I wanted him to stay. And then when he went back to Man United, even after he scored against us, and it all came out, he was like, I'm sorry, and da 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 da. Just like, he felt horrible. Oh, I wanted to come back to West Ham and all this, that, and the other. And then he goes to Forest the following season when, yeah. So it was all just like, I don't know. I lost a lot of respect for him, and especially as when I watched that interview with the Diary of the CEO, I don't know. It's just, it all seemed very media trained. Some of his answers.
He comes across. So I've never. I don't know him. I've never spoken to him. I've never had the dubious pleasure or whatever to speak to him or anything. He always comes. He comes across quite. He comes across almost shy, but almost sort of like, like secondary school kid who's just been told he's getting detention. He's at the back of the class and he's pissed off about it, and he's just sort of sat slumped in his chair, just sort of like.
Yeah.
I mean, I was that kid, so I get it. But like, sat slumped in his chair, like being pissed off, or whatever. He comes across like that quite often. He's like when he's in his element. I'm going to mention something that everyone gets pissed off about now. When he's doing his TikToks, right, and he's dancing and doing all that, he's in his element. He's loving life. When he's on the football pitch, he's loving life. He's celebrating, doing all that stuff. When he's always in these interview scenarios, I've never seen him come across as someone who's like happy to be there. And I think you get this like annoyed vibe from him, or I do at least get this annoyed vibe from him all the time, and I don't think it helps when he's trying to articulate himself, like with the West Ham didn't show me enough love comment and all this stuff. It doesn't come across well at all. It comes across as like a petulant, angry person, and I'm not sure why, but that's where he's at, I guess.
I think West Ham showed him enough love by giving him the option to get back into everybody's perception, because he had been forgotten about, back into the England team. The West Ham fans loved him, even though we weren't actually there. Like, dude, man, how much more love do you need? Like, no, the love that you're talking about is paper. That's what you're talking about. So that's why I have my opinion on him. Do you know what I mean?
I think almost everyone thinks the same thing, to be fair. When I saw those comments and I saw them going around on Twitter the other day, there wasn't anyone in there who wasn't saying, you're talking about money here, let's be honest about it. No, every single person in the replies was saying the same thing, That's because we all sort of know what happened, and it is what it is.
I'd have him back, though. I would have him back. Him back. But under them circumstances, do you know what I mean? Right, Char, we've been going for 50 minutes. Let's move on to our predicted lineup. So, do you know what? I'm going to be a bit of a bastard. I'm going to go for the easy one, which is Areola in goal, and I'll give you left back, because Cresswell's still here.
Yeah, I guess it's got to be Emerson. I don't know what's going on with Cresswell. Apparently he's been training again. People saw him in photos training. Whether he'll be involved in the matchday squad could potentially be there, but it has to be Emerson. You can't I love Cresswell, right? I've loved Cresswell for a long, long time. Before this summer, I would have said he would have been the person I would have made captain of the club. Like when Declan Rice goes, I was like, he would be my guy. you can't refuse to train for a week to try and force a move and then just walk back into the side. You can't. Like, it just can't happen. Doesn't matter whether you're training now or not. You can't. So Emerson, it has to be Emerson for me.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. So that leaves me with, let's say, left-sided centre-back, which has to be a Gerd, isn't it? There's no competition there,
and it has to be Zuma with him, right?
Yeah, it's got to be Zuma with him. But the back kind of makes itself, really, don't it? Like, Supal's going to finish right back. But let's go with... I'll go with Souček in midfield, and I'll give you who plays alongside him.
So I'm going to do like the head-heart thing in a way, right?
Yeah.
Who would I put in there? I would probably make an argument for Alvarez. But I suspect it will be Souček and James Ward-Prowse. I think Moyes will go James Ward-Prowse because Alvarez didn't. I don't think he didn't really have much. I don't think he had any of a preseason really. He went off and did like whatever that tournament's called with Mexico, and then had an extended break. And I'm pretty certain by the time he'd signed for us, I don't think he'd had basically any preseason. So I think he'll be on the bench, but I don't suspect David Moyes will want to start him yet. I think it would be too much of a risk against a team like Chelsea with their 18,000 midfielders. I think it would be a bit much for having no like preseason. So I reckon he'll go James Ward-Prowse, but I think he'll go with that.
Do you think James Ward-Prowse will get the start?
I reckon he will. Yeah, I reckon James Ward-Prowse had preseason. He was playing for Southampton before we signed him. I think. It depends. Who's the third person? Who would you say is the third person? I guess is the interesting part.
Pablo Fornals.
See, I reckon it'll be Paqueta.
Oh, no. I mean, other than because I think Paqueta's place is cemented. He's starting if his head's in the right place, in my opinion. As long as we don't come out like 20 minutes before the game, Paqueta's not all there. We're gonna replace him. In my opinion, I think Paqueta starts. But I think it's a fight out between James Ward-Prowse, Pablo Fornals, and Alvarez for that one spot in midfield.
And you reckon it'd be Fornals?
I think because Moyes very rarely, unless he has to, puts a new signing into the team. Now, Fornals played well last game.
The midfield in general, all three of them, I thought had really good games. Yeah.
So I'm struggling to find a reason. If he got Fornals has a reason to hand in a transfer request, in my opinion, because he ain't done nothing wrong. And
do you know what? You raise a great point. I think you're actually making a great point. I might have just changed my mind. I think you've actually persuaded me a little bit. I think you're probably right. He probably will stay the same. I think that's probably true.
But it's David Moyes as well. Like, me and you both know David Moyes and how much he hates change. And if there's nothing wrong with it, don't change it. That's his philosophy. There's nothing. As long as we didn't lose, it's all right. There's nothing wrong with it. In my opinion, I would have Alvarez alongside James Ward-Prowse with Paqueta. That's what I would have. But like, I'm just like, it's predicted lineups, isn't it? Not preferred lineups. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you've 100% persuaded me. I agree.
Do you reckon Fornals will play? I reckon Fornals, Souček, and Paqueta.
Yeah, and then James Ward-Prowse will come on like 70th minute, and then Alvarez will come on like 91st or something stupid like that. And then Cornet will come on 94th minute and then be offside. It'll be beautiful. It'll be great. It'll be beautiful.
Oh my god. Yeah. Well, do you know what? Yeah. Do you reckon Cornet's giving his family relatives tips saying like, make sure you put 500 quid down on me getting free offsides?
It'd be too obvious. It would be too obvious. There would be a family called Cornet in the Ivory Coast who'd be millionaires at this point. It'd be way too obvious. He couldn't be getting away with that sort of nonsense every single game. He's probably on a permanent watch list. They're probably like, all right, just look we know all of his known associates, every single one of them. We have to check their bank at all times because this is just because it's too obvious. Otherwise, he can't be getting away with that.
Do you know, he wouldn't either. He's African, mate.
Mate, I'm telling you, there would be a family with the surname Cornet in the Ivory Coast, and they would all be living in mansions right now. It would be too obvious. It'd be too big. You couldn't get away with that.
I don't believe in guns turn up at their door. Do you know what I mean?
It'd be an issue. But I think you're right. I think Alvarez and James Ward-Prowse will start on the bench, and I suspect we'll see James Ward-Prowse and probably Alvarez come off at some point, but. it feels like James Ward-Prowse for certain would be a guy who would come on off the bench at this point. Yeah, I think you make a great point.
I'm just trying to think like Moyes. Do you know what I mean? A stingy Scottishman.
So you should have had Gio on. He could do that quite well. This is basically his entire bit.
My dad was a stingy Scotsman, weren't he?
Well, there you go.
But so obviously, right wing picks itself with Bowen.
Yeah.
And who would you have at left wing?
I mean, if we're playing 4 hours in the other position, which I think is going to happen, then it has to be Benrahma. I don't really think I like the idea of trying some other people, but for now it has to be Benrahma. And to be fair, Moyes seems to trust Benrahma. Out of the last 6 months, he's basically stuck by him through thick and thin. So I suspect it'll be Benrahma again.
But Benrahma did have a poor game against Bournemouth, though. He was. I think he was off the mark. I don't actually. Poor was a little bit harsh. I don't think he was poor. I don't think he was crap. He did play okay, but he didn't do anything really. It was kind of like, you know, that meme with the stick man with the stick, like do something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that's where I stand on Benrahma. And who do you have up front then, Char?
Antonio. At this point, I think I think you have a slight argument for Cornet, and I think you have a bigger argument for Mubama, and I don't think you have any argument at all for Danny Ings. I think if you look at it, it will be Antonio. I can't see a situation which it isn't. I think Cornet is just interesting because of what he brings, but I think he could be a situation which he would be subbed on for Antonio.
Yeah.
But we all know he'll probably bring on Danny Ings anyway. I think it'll be Antonio to start.
See, it's strange because I'm kind of in two minds about Danny Ings because I haven't really rated his time with us so far. I mean, other than that brace he got in towards the end of last season against, I can't even remember who. He got a brace and then he hasn't really done anything. He did look sharp in pre-season. I actually listened to your pre-season of Tottenham, the West Ham Tottenham game. Yeah, I was at work. I was working on a Saturday and I listened to the whole thing. But
I'm sorry.
No, you're right, man. You kept me updated. I couldn't get viewing of it where I was, so I opted to just watch you, and Gonzo made me laugh, man. He was hilarious because he weren't watching it either.
He wasn't watching it. He was just there. And I thought he was going to leave. This is what happens, right? I join with half an hour for the game to go, and usually, like, they both leave, and you know how it works at StreamYard. We're using it now, right? You can see them at the bottom, and I see them, and then they both like turn off their things and walk away or whatever. And usually Gonzo's the quickest one to go. Usually Gonzo drops off, bang, he's off. He's got other things to do. He's got to go find like streamed or whatever, right? And he was just there, and I gave him like 4 or 5 opportunities to be like, oh, you can go. And he's like, no, I'm just going to stick around. And I'm like, if you want, bro, that's fine by me. That's fine. Which was useful because that was the game as well where the streams were awful. Like,
yeah.
You pay like £5 to the club to watch it, and then you can't even watch the game. So it was quite useful to just have him sat there. I didn't, so I don't think people did because I didn't.
I don't think enough people moaned about it.
Yeah, and to be fair, I didn't follow up on it at all, so I'm probably part of that issue.
Probably a kindly worded email might have got you your refund, but it probably would have come in club cash anyway. You've been able to buy yourself a little West Ham teddy bear next time you go down to London.
£5 off the £100 third kit or however much money they cost now. It's a ridiculous amount of money. So.
90 quid, isn't it, is an adult kit? Like, my missus normally buys me the new West Ham kit on my birthday, but this year, like last year, because the year before last it was 60 quid, then last year it was 75, and then this year it's gone up to 90, so it's going up 15 quid every year. And like, I understand the club's reached more success, but it's starting to take the piss now. Do you know what I mean? Like, we are not Arsenal, we are not Manchester United, and we are not who Tottenham pretend to be.
And also, like, the world is more difficult. Everything's more expensive.
Yeah,
like,
man.
You're living in an era where you can't, like, certain things you can't afford anymore because it's just way too expensive. And then you're like,
bro,
how about you pay
down the road for me? So Savaloys, yeah, 5 in a pack, £2. They've put them up 40p. I'm shocked.
Can't be doing it anymore. Can't be doing it. Can't be stretching it out. I was flipping trying to buy what do you call it? I was trying to buy Freddos the other day. They're like 40p or something crazy like that. What do I look like? A madman? I'm not. You can't be doing that.
65p in Sainsbury's, mate. 65p in Sainsbury's.
Disgraceful.
What they were 10p, yeah, and I thought they were taking the piss and they put them up to 15.
I can't be buying a Freddo for anything more than 15. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot for a Freddo. But this is the thing, right? And so you're asking us to pay £90 or whatever for a shirt. No, you're good.
Yeah. It's quite saddening, really, because I like to wear the West Ham shirts. I wear them on my casual days, right? Like, I'm not doing nothing. Even on Saturday, West Ham ain't playing. I'm wearing last season's shirt. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've done my shopping in it. I saw plenty of. I live in Dagenham, by the way, so I see plenty of West Ham fans everywhere. So, like, I walk around on a Saturday, you see claret and blue, but it's just like most of the time I'll pay full price for the home shirt, and then the away shirt and the third shirt I'll wait till the end of the season, and I'll just get them in for the collection. Yeah. But where like last season it went up from when they're like 70% off before, it was like 15 quid, I think, for the shirt when it was on discount, and now it went up to 25, and it was like I've just gone from like what it would have been 30 quid to 40 quid. Do you know what I mean? And the original shirts now 15 quid more. But yeah, like I'm still a dumb idiot that will spend the money on the shirts because it's just a habit, really, and I'm a fool.
It's one of those things where it's just habits, and it's like club take advantage of that by charging a ridiculous amount of money to do it. It's like, I don't know, I'm the same. Like, I would get a kit. Like, every time I look is when I look for when they're on sale the season after, sort of thing. That's the last kit I bought. That's the last one I bought. That's how long it's been since I've actually bought one. That was this season, what was that, 13, 14, something like that?
Wasn't Kevin Nolan still playing for West Ham?
Mate, Kevin Nolan flipping Carlton Coles on the back. so that gives you some sort of era about what it was. That's how long ago it was. That was the last one I bought. So, and I've got a second one of those. GF sent me a second one as a present.
Did it? I know how much you love that shirt, Char.
Well, it wasn't that. It's because it's got Morgan Amalfitano on the back, and so I've got a signed Morgan Amalfitano shirt somewhere. I don't know where it is right now.
Wait, didn't he give you a shirt with the wrong name on the back or something?
So what happened was, Gio, like, because on our Patreon we have like giveaways quite often, and we try to do like, if we can find like signed shirts, we like to do signed shirts and stuff because that's quite good. It's quite a good thing to give away, you know. You get a signed like a shirt with like Declan Rice and whatever signed it or whatever. And so Gio's always like scouring for signed shirts. He's just constantly like looking through, seeing if he can find good deals for giveaways or just whatever. And he found this signed shirt. It was this season. I wish I could. Where is it? I thought it was over there. I don't know where it is now. But it was a signed shirt. It was Morgan Amalfitano. But on the back, where he'd signed it, it said, "Dear Bevo, happy birthday."
Yes, Bevo.
And then he signed it. And so Gio phoned me and was like, he goes, "You're the person who loves Morgan Amalfitano, right?" I was like, yeah, baller. Streets will never forget. What a guy. Morgan Amalfitano, absolute baller. And he goes, he's like, okay, because you're getting a replica shirt signed by him, but you're going to have to be called Bevo now. And I was like, that's fine, call me Bevo, that's fine. And so now whenever he phones me, whenever Gio phones me to ask for something or we have a conversation or whatever, at the beginning he always just screams the word Bevo at me. He always just goes, Bevo, and I'm like, all right, yes, good to speak to you and all. But I don't know where it is. I've lost it. It's somewhere in this room. I don't know where it is. I thought it was over there. But yeah, but even that same kit, so.
Well, while we're on that note, Morgan Amalfitano was a baller. I loved him. I love Morgan. I loved Amalfitano. I loved what's his name as well? Dimitri. No, it wasn't Dimitri. Italian geezer, curly hair.
Diamanti.
Diamanti Alessandro.
Alessandro Diamanti. Yeah.
Alessandro Diamanti. Yeah, I said it backwards.
So when you write the names down, right? He was beautiful as well. He retired this summer, didn't he?
Yeah. He was playing in Australia, I believe.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah, he was still balling, man. But I saw I saw an interview with him, and he was talking about how his time at West Ham, and he regrets leaving, and he was homesick, but he found West Ham as like a second home. Like the fans were very like he related to us very much. I loved him, man. I was so disappointed when he left.
I love any player who plays like him, Morgan Malfitano. Any player who's in that sort of position. Yossi Benayoun. Like my first West Ham love was Joe Cole. Like anyone who plays like as an attacking midfielder who does that sort of stuff is like that's pure Charlie Walsh material. It's probably why I like Paquetá/Paqueta so much. You know.
Do you know what? Yeah, the two players that made me fall in love with West Ham when I was probably about the same age as you. Like I as a kid, I sat there, watched it. But when I started getting into West Ham, I think I was about like 6 or something like that. And it may surprise you because Di Canio was in this team, but he's not one of the players. Like I love Di Canio, of course I love Di Canio, but Trevor Sinclair and who was the other one? Canute.
I love Freddie Canute.
Absolutely love Freddie Canute. They were my two favourite players. But also at that time, like don't hold it against me. I had like a fondness to Thierry Henry and Arsenal.
I have vivid memories, right? FIFA 2001 on the PlayStation 1, and I'd buy Thierry Henry for West Ham, and I would play a 4-4-2 with Canute and Henry up front together. Drop Paolo Di Canio, not interested. It was Canute and it was Henry for me. And I don't know why I was obsessed with this as a kid, but I was like big. That was like my thing as well. I love Freddie Canute, but I love Thierry Henry as well.
I was the exact same, man. Like my auntie was a massive Arsenal fan, though, and she tried to convert me when I was young. When I was too young to know any better, shall I say? She tried to send me home. I went round her house. She showed me an Arsenal game. I was like, I love that guy. She gave me a Thierry Henry Arsenal shirt and sent me home with it. And my dad burnt it. He burnt it in front of my face and said, "In this house, we are claret and blue only. And if you don't like it, I know you're 5, but fuck off."
Oh, you know, you got to respect dedication to the cause. You got to respect dedication. To the cause.
It weren't that extreme. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it was along them lines. My dad weren't happy about it. But anyway, on that note, I want your score prediction for tomorrow, mate. What do you reckon?
I don't know.
Yeah, actually, let's make this interesting and let's do it how I do it. I want a score for your head and I want a score for your heart.
Heart says 2-1 West Ham.
Yeah.
Head's not sure. I really think it could go not either way, but I think there is a possibility of like I'm gonna say 2-1 Chelsea, but I think I think it will go one or either way. And that means it will probably be a boring 1-1 or 0-0. But I do think there is just such an opportunity if Chelsea aren't fully on it, if they aren't like fully just like switched on and on pace, then we really could score and then just go, nope, you're not scoring now. And then just see how it plays out. I mean, I can see a situation we sub James Ward-Prowse on, get a free kick fairly late in, bangs it in for the winner. I can see it in my mind. I can see it.
He's written it. He's written in the stars.
I can see it. I'm not going to predict it, but
put a fiver on that.
I can see it. I am not responsible for any money lost. It's not me. It's nothing to do with me. Do not Charlie Walsh is not a financial expert, but I can see
it. Put yourself down to Betfred. Put a fiver on James Ward-Prowse to score a free kick in the last 5 minutes of the game.
All right, Paqueta, calm down. Look, I think I can see that happening in my head. Do I think it will happen? Probably not, but I can see it. But I will say head's probably saying 2-1 Chelsea, just because I think they might have just that little bit too much, and we just maybe they score 2 and then we fight back into it or something. I don't know yet how it will work out, but
see, I'm a little bit more optimistic than you are on both ends. Like my heart says 3-1 West Ham. Nice, I reckon my heart thinks West Ham's organisation is going to do Chelsea numbers. Chelsea play well against Liverpool at home. They ain't going to have that back in this time. That's what my heart says. My head says 3-2 West Ham. I think it's going to be... My head says it's going to be backwards, forwards. They're going to score. We're going to score. We're going to score. They're going to score, and then it's going to be a last-minute winner. I reckon.
We've had some notable bangers against Chelsea over the years. To be fair,
yeah. We've come from 2-1 down when Yarmolenko scored us the winner during COVID.
Yeah.
That was what an amazing game. So I can talk to you for hours about the COVID season. I loved it, man. I loved it, especially that Tottenham game. I've never. But yeah, anyway, we shall reminisce, and the future is the future. Hopefully, West Ham win, eh?
one day it'll happen at some point. If not tomorrow, it'll happen at some stage. I'm sure. Just gotta wait for it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the game either way. To be fair.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. Either way, until we go 2-0 down, I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, on that note, let's call it a day. Let's call it an end of show or whatever we want to call it. But anyway, I have been Tom. If you have liked this video, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and if you don't know who Charlie is and where he comes from Hammer Chat. Give them a subscribe if you haven't already. Legendary channel of YouTube, West Ham YouTube. Anyway, yeah. Till next time, Charlie. Thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it, bro.
Thank you very much for having me. And like Tom said, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button so you don't miss out on future uploads. Come on, what are you doing? Subscribe.
He knows. He knows.
He knows.
Charlie, I've got to have you on again soon, man. I really appreciate you coming on.
No worries, man.
Thanks, mate. It's been a great show. Speak to you soon, man. Sweet.
Cheers. Come on, your irons.
Come on, your irons. Wee.